Greetings and welcome to Hot Topics from the Soul. I'm your host, Dr. Valerie Parker Hagan, and I have my co host with me.
Well, good evening. Dr. J.R. Thicklin here, and we're just glad to be here as we're coming what we call down the final stretch. Last month of the year, and last month, and really, if you would, I would like to say we're in the closing hours of this year. And although we're just here in this real full first week, this is really a very crucial and a very critical time.
Yeah, it is, Dr. J. So much has happened, so much is going on. But, one of the things is we have to remain focused, fervent, and faithful in what we know is true. Is so much fake news going on, and individuals have lost a lot in the last few months and don't know what the next month or next year is going to look like. But God is still God. So we have to remain faithful in every situation and circumstance.
Absolutely. This year has been a very interesting year. We came into the year of 2025, having coming out of election. And so we knew that there would be inauguration of a new administration and all those things happening. We have come through so many things and we've seen so many things rapidly change before our
Rapidly.
very eyes. We've seen just some things even seem to be chaotic. And during that time, many people was restless and many people was unnerved. And I can understand that. Many people, because of the fact if the only thing that they have to hold on to is the rhetoric that they hear through news and things like that, they're going to become unstable. But the main thing I believe that is so important in this time is that we remain focused. Well, you say focus on what? Focus on the truths, on the things that are standard, the things that have anchored us for years. And inside of that, we have to find truth. I believe that the truth will always outlast a lie. The truth will always outlast a lie. And what we have to understand inside of it, if we really believe, then we stand on the truth, understand that truth will prevail. No matter how it may seem like the truth is being tested, and truth will be tested. Everything about us is tested, but we have to remain, if you would, fervent and focused and have to remain faithful during this time. We've seen things like we've not seen before. I used to think when I was growing up, I paid a lot of attention to what was going on around. And I often say being raised in the deep South, noticing things that are happening because I understood that there were certain liberties and freedoms and things that we were just really about to fully embrace and to experience. So you understood, you paid attention to what happened. Throughout our time, we've seen the fall of Berlin Wall. We've seen Cold Wars. We've seen the Soviet Union collapse. We've seen all of these things happen. And we've seen many things take place even in our country. And yet and still, the world is continuously evolving. And what happens is that when we begin to see things happen very drastically, it definitely shifts us and it causes us to ponder and to pause. But we have to understand that what we cannot afford to do is panic. And when we start panicking, we make bad decisions. When we start panicking, we start doing things that really could be more detrimental to us than the very thing that may have happened.
That is so true, Dr. J. We operate and function off of impulse and
Right.
fear. And fear causes us to react to situations where God is saying, peace be still, because I'm
Right.
in control. And I think that we need to remember to breathe. That's been my thing all year. I've been telling people, just remember to breathe, because guess what?
Yeah.
Sometimes when I'm working on things, I don't know about you, Dr. J, but when I'm working on a project, I'm working and I forget to inhale and exhale and inhale. I'm not breathing until I feel a little lightheaded. Well, that's how we do to situations around us all the time, not really realizing that we're doing it because we're waiting for the next thing. We're waiting for the ball to drop, the hammer to fall, and
Yes.
we forget to breathe. And God is saying to us, stand still and see my salvation. I was reading an article yesterday and today where the president is removing the holiday of Juneteenth and Martin Luther King Day, where people will get that as a paid holiday. And he's enforcing his birthday to be the only holiday on the calendar. I'm like, okay, so where is government? Where, what, I mean, how can things happen like this and we don't have a say? What happened to democracy? And it's because so many of us are exhausted and have expressed exhaustion, where they're like, when they see something, they like, okay, here's another thing, and oh, there's another thing, and I'm not voting. This is why I'm not voting. But you're giving up your right. You are giving up your right when you say, I'm not going to vote just because this didn't happen. And look at the situation we in right now. My husband's favorite thing is, well, that's what the people wanted. That's what they wanted. They getting what they wanted. But they didn't bargain on what they got.
We're really being challenged in this time. One of the things I'll say, and I'm kind of recovering right now, so I've missed the news for a couple of days. And one of the things that is interesting to me, when I hear statements put out like that, what I realize is this: is that we still have some semblance of a democracy and a republic, meaning the fact that only up under an authoritarian type of government can a person just simply say, well, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, we're going to enact this. No, under right order, the president can't do that. Just like Juneteenth and Martin Luther King holiday had to be voted in, Congress had to pass it. He doesn't get to just circumvent that. What I do understand that our president says a lot of things he put out there, and it caused a lot of panic and shifts. But none of these things can become permanent until they really go through Congress and those things. Remember the Gulf of America rather than the Gulf of Mexico?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, really? Check your map. It's still the Gulf of Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
There are many things that are being said and they're put out there and they cause instability. But it is said to kind of to test the waters to see how we can get people to react in terms of that.
I believe that, Dr. J. You know why I say that? Because here in Florida, where we live at, our governor has basically, with the news media, he has control over what we see and what goes out. We didn't see and know that there were demonstrations all over because of things that's going on in DC that the president's doing, because our governor shut it down. No exposure. How I found out that protestings were going on was because other states got privy to it and saw it and were reporting it. So there's a lot of things that go on, just like I read the article in Google where there were, the news media that they send out every day. And I read it there. But it is not being publicized on a wide scale because why? They want to make sure people are asleep, because guess what? A lot of people won't read, but they'll look at the news. They'll look at television, but they will not read. So it goes right on by.
Wow, you're exactly right. And there's so many half truths goes out in terms of that. When I talk about even things such as what happened there, one of the things that when you go back and you start talking about this country being founded and you're talking about a constitution and all those things there, we have to always go back and understand that this thing that we call democracy is still a great experiment. It's been a great experiment since the founding of this country.
Wow.
And we have seen it tested throughout. We've seen it tested and tested and tested. And now we're seeing it tested in a different way. Things that have become norms are now being challenged like never before. We are going around the Constitution. We understood that there are three co-equal branches of government.
Branches of government, right.
And so it was never meant that the executive branch would have authority over the judicial branch or the legislative branch. But we're seeing a meshing of those things happening now. And we're seeing things that happen that used to be things that we all were in favor of, or we all at least agreed upon, or at least we all understood there was a system and there was a way that things happen. And those things are being challenged now. And the thing about it, it is accomplishing it because of labels and because of the intentionality of divisiveness. In other words,
Mm,
you look at right now, this country is more divided than ever before. You've got family members that are divided because of parties. Well, the problem is when we start labeling things and we get away from truth. See, where is truth when it's all said and done? I'm not born a Republican or Democrat nor independent, neither is anyone else. Somewhere
absolutely.
along the line, we accept these ideologies, we accept these things, and we put ourselves in these boxes. Problem is, some of us lose our common sense. We lose our sense of truth because of the fact we're conforming to a label. Here's one of the greatest misnomers, and people won't like this, but one of the greatest misnomers in the world is that the United States of America is not a Christian nation. It was it was never founded upon a Christian nation. Matter of fact, the whole thing is about the freedom of religion, and all those things happen. The problem is that now people come in with different ideologies, and they're now trying to define what is Christian. How do we make these things part of our laws? While others are saying, well, that's not Christian either. And the reality is that we would never be a theocracy, because if we had a theocracy, we'll be looking to God, and God would be the one that set the standard, and the Bible would be what ruled and governed this country. And yet, it's still
Mhm.
you have both parties who will say, "In God we trust," and this, that, and the other. The reason we must remain focused, fervent, and faithful is because of the fact there are too many ideologies that are out there, that men are seeking their own will, their own justification. If we're truly a country that really wanted to see, if you would, liberty and justice for all, we would act like it. We could love one another. We wouldn't have homelessness. We wouldn't have any of those things happening in this rich country. But the reason that we do have those things, because there's a desire to have power. And so when there's a sect of people who feel like they should be superior over others, then guess what? Evil and greed does it, and it shakes everybody underneath them. And so even the folks that don't even realize they're being used are sitting there fighting for labels. Well, I'm Democrat, I'm Republican. No, you are just
They're
brainwashed,
just
because
pawns.
you're pawns in the whole big game of it. At the end of the day, we've got to know what's right. There must be a moral compass in this country, and that won't happen until the real believers really stand up. When the real believers really stand up and say, listen, in God we truly trust, when the real believers do exactly what the Bible says, that we do clothe the naked, we do feed the hungry, we are concerned about the immigrants and those things there. We have come to a day and time that we've demonized and weaponized. Notice all these words. We have demonized, we've demonized people in different groups. We have weaponized things that was of good intent. And then all the news we hear is polarized. And so we're just so many things that are happening that people lose focus. But one thing I want to encourage people today is to bring it back in. Bring it back in. Regain your focus on what's important. Yes, decisions impact all of us, but the greatest thing that will impact us are the decisions that we make. We're coming down to Christmas. It's the end of the year. The holidays are coming. Listen, you don't need no one to tell you whether or not the economy is doing well or not. You personally feel it. You
Right.
personally feel it. And so, listen, it has nothing to do with you being Republican, Democrat, or independent. It has to be with you being a human being that is experiencing a real life experience when you got too much month left for your money.
Hmm.
Right? That just simply means you don't have enough. And so, inside of that, don't find yourself panicking, trying to go out there and get things that aren't necessary. Don't put yourself in these type binds. This is the season where you need to prepare. Prepare, because there are other winter days that are coming. And so we're gonna have to remain focused. I mean focused. Don't let all the rhetoric get to you inside of that. Remain focused, fervent, and faithful. And then remind you of this. We still have elections. At least right now, we still have elections. Remind the people that you vote for that you vote for them to represent you. They're representatives of the people, not cohorts with the president or any administration. They are representing the people. They're not there to just sign a blank check and sign blindly to whatever the president says, because each representative is representing the folks that are left back in their own states. And if we don't like it, we need to get different representatives, and we have to remain fer- fervent, focus, fervent, faithful, and focused. And when we do those things there, we will find ourselves being at peace. And I love what you said. We got to take time to breathe. Breathe. Take a deep breath and breathe. Because if you don't, you'll get overwhelmed by the things that are happening around us. You'll get overwhelmed by it. And I'm challenging people, don't get overwhelmed by what's happening. Don't get overwhelmed. Stay focused.
And I also want to encourage individuals, like, not just because the season we're in, we're supposed to be joy to the world, but we need to be human beings. Be concerned about our neighbors, be concerned about people around us and the surroundings, because by the grace of God, there goes I. Be concerned about our seniors. Pay attention to those that are around you, because it will ultimately save your life, because of the fact that there are people that are going through mental challenges right now. They're about to snap. And all it takes is a kind word to say hello or how you doing, to change the dynamic of that person's day that could have been fatal. So let us please pay attention to those around us and show kindness, not just today or tomorrow or the month of December, but let this be every single day, and be mindful of those things. I've watched and saw how immigrants are being snatched from their families. And I said, this is not the time for this. And the biggest problem I have with all this is you telling me you're snatching them to deport them, but yet they're still here in prisons and we're paying for it. What are we doing? What are we agreeing to? Those that are Christians, that are believers, is this what you want? To be chained and imprisoned? Is this what we want? There's a humane way to deal with all situations, and this is not it. When you look at your little child and they're looking up in your eyes and saying, Daddy, why is this happening? Mama, why is this happening? And you look at the innocence of their faces. It doesn't matter if you're international or not. They're looking at you because your mama and your daddy, and they're expecting you to protect them and give them guidance and with the way that they should go so that they can live productive lives. So we have to stop being racist individuals. We must stop this. Let us be faithful, be fervent. And, Dr. J, I'm so thankful that I'm here in this space and being able to talk and encourage to say my heart on this. We have to be human beings. We have to function as human beings. Lord have
Absolutely.
mercy. Human beings.
At the end of the day, and that's what I'm saying, it is about being human beings. One of the things that we witness, and you think about this, just less than a month ago, we were dealing with this whole thing about SNAP and folks not getting their benefits, and people food shortage and all those things there. And you know what happened in the midst of it, even before, because we saw the orders being challenged on every court and different levels and things. But what happened was people pulled together. We saw churches and other organizations that give out food and things like that really begin to really double down to make sure that we help. And what I'm saying is that I think you put it best. Even what the government will not do, let the human in you, let the God in you be enough to cause you to be that love in motion, to be that hand in motion, to be able to reach out beyond yourself. Listen, we are going through some rough times here. And this is the same country now that we talked about, even the great Ronald Reagan. We are a nation of immigrants. And we celebrated the fact that we are a nation of immigrants. The United States of America is comprised of immigrants. Well, where have we come to now? Everybody is not thieving. My main thing is this: where are the receipts? When I hear you say they're sending us all their prisoners, they're sending us all these things, where's the documentation for that? When I hear things that says we're bombing these boats because they got all these drugs on it, where is the proof? No one's seen the proof. At the end of the day, there are a lot of folks that are here because they were seeking asylum because of their lives being threatened in their native country. Is this not the place where people came? It was a beacon of hope. It was all those things. Now, all of a sudden, things are just so terrible. When we can look up and call a group of people garbage, that is beyond humane. That it has nothing to do with a party. That has nothing to do with Republican or Democrat or Independent. That has to do with the evilness of a person's heart. Because believe it or not, believe me or not, there are many people that came to this country, their families go back a few generations, and they was escaping their country for asylum, or they just was looking for a better life. When did that become a crime? When did that become a crime? I am seeing, even here in Palm Beach County, ICE raids happening in Lantana, Florida. ICE raids happening in Lake Worth. ICE raids happening with people that are contributing people to our society. There's a problem going on, and it's called bait and switch. We have a problem that is deep in our country. And it's not because of this. We're blaming all these issues in our country on immigrants. That's not the case. Check the record. Check the record. It's not our immigrants that are. It's not the immigrants that are committing all these mass murders. It's not the immigrants that are committing all these heinous crimes. It's not the immigrants. It's homegrown right here. And until we really begin to own up and acknowledge the fact there are things that are happening here that we're excusing, but then we're blaming others. I grew up in a place called Selma, Alabama. And the more I realized when I was growing up in school and elementary, we would stand up by our desk in the morning, and you know what? We pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America.
Yes.
To the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We did that, and in my time, we had even gotten really the right. We just had gotten the right to vote, but yet and still, we were standing up and making a pledge of allegiance. We sung songs like "This land is your land, this land is my land," from California to the New York Islands. We sung those songs. Look at how those songs simply mean nothing now. Mm-hmm. What we're saying today, this land is our land.
When the Americans are afraid.
And so the song has been rewritten, and the tune of the country is going south. But I admonish each and every one to stay focused, to stay fervent, and stay faithful. Listen, if there was ever a time to seek God, time is now. Why not now? Why not put your heart and set your heart to truth? Because truth is the only thing that will set us free.
Absolutely, Dr. J. And I want to Hot Topic for Soul. And we look to see you next time. And remember, Dr. J, what's the word? Be faithful.
Stay focused, faithful, and fervent.
Focused, faithful, and fervent. Until next time.
Yeah, hot topics from the soul, reaching all minds, turning knowledge into gold. Yeah, hot topics from the soul. Yeah.